Feel free to raise questions, to ask about the content. Don't be afraid about any mathematical thing. We are not going to be testing any mathematical knowledge, or you are not going to be required to do any equation or anything. Don't get afraid about that. The objective is that you get to know the stuff, the concepts, because as Viviana mentioned, these scores are going to be used to create a scale that then is going to be related to salaries or wages. And it's really important that you understand the meaning or how to work with the charts and what's gonna be valuing for this stuff. So let's begin. If you have any question or comment, please feel free to use the question and answer button that you might have in your controls. We hope that the connection is steady. Otherwise, please hold with me and let's start. So, good morning, everybody. We are here for the job evaluation virtual workshop for Color Republic. The content that we're gonna be covering this morning, it's going to be related to the objective of this project. What's a job position in a company? What's the elements of a job position? The difference between the job position and its occupant? What is a job evaluation? What are the evaluation factors? And we're going to go through the pillars of salary management. Let's start with this video that's gonna give you some context about what we're gonna be covering. Please try to pay attention to it. I know that you are real busy this day, but bear with me these 3 hours so we can get together and understand this. Hey group from Indonesia, have created this video that help us understand what we're going to be covering. Please pay attention.
This is Monica. She's HR director for a transportation firm and wants to know if she's getting good value from the money she's spending on salaries. And here's Paul. He's one of the firm's operations managers and wants to know if he's being paid fairly compared to similar jobs in other companies, as well as to his old friend Bert from finance. Job evaluation can answer these questions. By measuring the value of jobs in an organization, it tells employers if they're paying their people the right amount, and it tells employees if the company is giving them fair pay compared with jobs of similar value. To work out the relative size and value of Paul's job compared to Bert's, we look at 3 things. First, the value each role adds to the organization. We call this accountability. Second, the challenges the employee needs to address to deliver that value. We call this problem solving. And third, the knowledge, skills, and experience they need to make it all happen. We call this know-how. Then we give a score to each factor and add them together to come up with the final job size, as measured in hay points for that role. We're not done yet, though. We know how big Paul's job is, but by looking at what it focuses on, we can also identify what kind of job it is, its profile. As Paul's job focuses on hitting operational targets for the department, we'd say it has an accountability-led profile. Knowing this helps us pick the right person for the job when it next becomes vacant. But it also flags another issue. Most of Paul's bonus is based on the total profit for the company, which doesn't reflect the focus of his job. So the company needs to think about the design of its bonus scheme. So where does that all leave Paul, who's still waiting to hear if he's paid fairly compared to Bert? Well, we can now exclusively reveal that Paul is paid less than Bert, but that it's fair. Their jobs are very different, and although Paul scored more points than Bert's for accountability, it scored fewer for problem solving and know-how. So, while Paul may feel his job makes a bigger contribution, it's actually a smaller job in overall terms. But what about the difference between what Paul and Bert are paid? Is that reasonable? Job evaluation will tell us that too. Because we know the difference in hay points, we can compare this to the difference in salaries to see if they're in proportion. And the good news is that they are. So Monica can explain to Paul that his salary is fair in comparison with the others, including Bert's, and because hay points mean the same thing across thousands of organizations, Monica can also tell him that 50% of organizations would pay the same or less for a similar job, which means that Paul's pay is competitive externally as well as internally, and Monica isn't spending more than is reasonable, so everyone's happy. But that's still not quite the end of the story. Job evaluation has given Monica and Paul practical, objective answers to their questions, but it's also shown Monica that she needs to think about the bonus design for Paul's job, and it's given her the information she needs to start thinking about the type of person to replace Paul when he moves on. Not that he's planning on doing that anytime soon.
Okay, so with that summary, we can start how we're gonna work the workshop dynamics. We're gonna cover general concepts. We're gonna have some quizzes to understand that you are catching on these concepts, 8 quizzes during the workshop. We're gonna be sending those by Paul. After the workshop, we may address any expanded answer individually if required. If you got any question, Alicia is here to help me out. And also, if something else arises, Viviana can answer those questions after. We're gonna be working in a virtual room for 3 hours. So bear with me with your attention, please. We're gonna receive questions through the question and answer bottom of the system. I'm also gonna be taking some role during the process to see that you are actively connected with me. I'm gonna ask you to write down your number in the question and answer channel to see that you are paying attention. We're also going to work some calculation exercise to see the concept review of the charts. Don't worry about this. We are not going to be quizzing any mathematical skills or anything. You just going to have to know how to interpolate the squares in the charts so you can get scores. And we're going to have breaks every 1.5 hours. So let's begin. We may also intrinsically address how to productively structure positions, focus on how to structure the supervisions level, generate different concepts of career development, and suggest how to keep the organization structure current. What's the objective? The main objective of the evaluation process for positions in Color Republic is to provide the organization with a methodology that measures the impact of each job position on the strategy results and to determine equity in a methodological way. Let's understand what's the origin of a job position, looking at it from a mission. As we can remember, the mission defines the activity to which the company is engaged, what you want to be for your clients, and the value proposition towards the market. I have here, taken from the web page of Color Republic, the mission that we can find, and we may see that it says, Color Republic's mission is to make people's life more colorful and joyful by effectively providing innovative, top quality flower products that are produced and marketed in a sustainable, honest way. This is what the main activity or what's engaged, what's Color Republic mission and what we want to portray to our clients. How is our vision view? The vision describes the goal you hope to achieve in the future, how you want to be seen. This is the ideal expectation of what Color Republic wants to achieve. Leaders and executive team make the vision a reality. And what's in the web page? Our vision for the future is a world in which generosity and emotions prevail and flowers play a key role in connecting people, making each moment, each place even more special. So that's how the company wants to be seen in the future. What's the origin of a position? How can we get, or in this case, how can we get the positions in the company? First, we start what we said with the mission. What we gonna be doing? That we go to the vision. How we gonna be seen? With this, we're gonna create a strategy to comply with the mission and the vision. And these are also related to the company objectives. With a clear strategy, I can trace processes. And in the process, with tracing processes, we're gonna create an organizational structure who can execute these processes. Who's gonna be executing the processes? A position. That's how we create a position, or that's how we justify the existence of a position in a company. And a position, its responsibility is to, comply with the task or content that it's been delegated. That's the classical origin of a position. We start with a mission, then this goes through a vision. With the vision and the mission, I can create a strategy. These are related to company objectives. This goes with the processes. In the processes, we're gonna have to create an organizational structure who can execute the processes. And in the organizational structure, we're gonna find positions. The positions have to cover pretty much some task or content so we can go ahead and comply with the strategy. What is a job position? It is the set of tasks, activities, and goals that arise from the strategy and that is part of a process and exists to meet an objective. It's the set of tasks, activity, and goals that arise from the strategy and that is part of a process and exists to meet an objective. Here we can exemplify a process and we can get to see all the positions that interact in this process. If we can imagine here, I don't know if this is the reality in the company, but just for example, we can imagine here the commercial process. With the commercial process, in the commercial process, we're gonna have related the sales director. The sales director in the commercial process also is related with the key account manager, with the category manager, and then with the sales and administration assistants. So we can identify here a whole process and all the positions that interact in this process. Some of the concepts applicable to a job position. I have here a position. I can find it in an organizational chart. I can find a job position in the job description. I can find a job position in a location in the process if I want to locate it. In the job profile, in the objectives and goals of the company, and also in the job evaluation. That's what we're gonna be covering today. A job position is subject to add or remove activities, increase objectives and goals, remove from the structure, change the report line, correlate with other processes, and being automated. It doesn't have that particular order, but a job position can be subject to all of these matters. Let's put it in context, the job position in sports, so we can give a better example of how they interact in sports. Because you know, in sport, we also have these positions that have their objective. I'm gonna use basketball in this case to put it in context so you may understand. You know, in basketball, we have these 5 typical positions, no matter the occupant or no matter the player. All the teams play pretty much in the same way. We're gonna find a center, we're gonna find a power forward that they usually work in the infield. I have a small forward right here in the formation, a shooting guard, and a point guard. So here we can identify the positions in a basketball court. If we want to relate this to the real life, you know, you can have the same formation for a college basketball team, for a high school basketball team, for an Olympic basketball team, or, you know, for a professional basketball team. So no matter who is playing in that position, the formation is going to be the same pretty much. The position and the occupant. The job position. The job position, what are the basic difference between these two, job position and an occupant? Where the job position, where does it come from? This comes from, as we mentioned, the mission and the vision of the company. And this translates to a strategy. How do I justify in the structure? Because it's got to cover an objective in the strategy. I cannot invent a job position or create a job position if it doesn't have a justification or a task to do and to cover the structure with the strategy. Where does the profile come from? How I'm structuring that position? What activities got to cover? And what's the approach point of this position in the whole process of the company? And then we get to analyze or see the occupant. Why does exist in the organization that position? So I can go out and look for that occupant. How does the person justifies their presence in that position? Is it doing it the task that it's been delegated? Isn't it supervising some other processes? Where does the profile come from? What kind of education, what kind of training, what kind of skills am I looking in the occupant? And what's gonna be the approach point so the occupant can cover what's delegated in the job position? These are the main difference. Why am I going deep in this concept? Because I'm gonna be repeating in the whole workshop. Please try to disconnect the occupant with the job position. We're gonna be valuing the position. If we're gonna be valuing the occupant, that's an evaluation of performance. This is not the case. We are not valuing performance. So as difficult as it sounds, please try to disconnect your mind from the occupant of the position. Some of the elements applicable to an occupant. I got here the occupant, the worker, The occupant, it's gonna be putting in the company his own knowledge. What does he knows? He's gonna be also adding to his performance, his behaviors. What kind of behaviors he's got that differentiate from the, in this case, the competition? Does he know how to negotiate? Does he knows how to start a relation? The achievements of goals and objectives. I can measure if the worker is complying with what's been delegated. Then I have here the performance evaluation that I can apply to the worker. And also I can give the worker professional development. Those are some of the elements that we're gonna find in a worker. Now let's differentiate it or create differences between the worker and the position. So here I have in the position, I can find it as we saw in the job description, the location in the process, the job profile, the objectives and goal, and the job evaluation that we are gonna be performing this morning. These are the main difference between a worker and a position. So you can get to see that the elements may apply to a human right here, and some of these elements may apply to the process that the position is involved. The difference and the connections between the job occupant and the position. I have my institutional objective. With an institutional objective, I'm going to create a job position. With this job position, I'm supposed to get some goals. I'm supposed to comply with the strategy. These goals are done by the worker, and the worker gonna comply with the company results. Right here, I see the difference in that connection. You know, institutional objective may arise a job position. The job position's got an objective. These objectives are shown by goals. These goals are complied by the worker, so thus we have the company results. With the basketball example that we created right now, we're gonna find, we're gonna show you some example, as we said. Do you guys remember what happened with the basketball team of the US Olympic team? This can be in the 92 Olympics, and this also happened, I think, in the 2006 Olympics. The thing is that the US was sending to the Olympics, I don't know the reason why, but it was sending some college teams, and the performance of these college teams were criticized because they were not getting the scores to the other Olympic teams that the other nations or the other countries were competing. So the US pretty much created, as you know, the dream teams. And I have here some names that you may recognize for the 2006 dream teams. And I have here some names so you may recognize for the 92 Olympic dream teams. And the example that I'm trying to create is that no matter the team that was player, the formation was the same, but the occupants of these teams make the whole difference. Right here, I have the so-called dream teams. You know, if we put this in a professional team, the appraisal or the value of all these players are pretty high. So what I was trying to say is that to achieve the goal that the US trace, or to achieve the strategy to be an Olympic champion, we have to choose some really hardcore players to get the job done. And the same we can see here in this example. If we relate to the game, the positions are going to be the same. If I play offense, the formation is going to be different, or if I play defense, the formation is going to be different. The real difference in the achievement of goals is who is playing these positions. So if I describe the center position for this team, is going to be the same as the center position for a college team. The difference goes in who is the occupant or who is performing that position. So right here, I'm gonna present you with the, I think, the most congratulated team or the most winning team. Right now, you may identify if you've been watching the series, the Last Dance. Right here, you have the 95-96 Chicago Bulls, that it was considered the best basketball team. And here you can see the difference in that year, or the difference to consider these a great teams, is pretty much the players right now. So you can see the same formation in a college game, the same formation in an Olympic game, but it depends on the results on who are the occupant or who are the players for this task. So we're gonna start with the first quiz of the concepts. I'm gonna send you a poll right now. So please, if you may answer these questions. All right, so we got the quiz review number 1, pretty good. What are the different ways to see in the job position? We can see a position's locations pretty much divided. In the operational, we got a position whose specific execution of actions. These positions do stuff or comply with orders. In the tactic location, this translates the strategic guidelines into concrete actions. These make the operations of the company. And in the strategic location, a position is oriented to achieve the mission of the company provided by guidelines. So I have a position in the strategic location, the tactic location, and the operational location. We can also see positions in a different matter. We can, if we go by scope, right here, we're gonna locate the position in the strategic scope, the tactic scope, or the operational scope. We can also locate positions by function. I can get a position in the assistant function. I can have a derivative function that might work. And also I have the so-called basic function. The example of function in services companies we have here, like in the basic function, the commercial goes with the process of commercial information, a portfolio, and this performs the sales. The function may have a derivative who may create reporting for sentence, and this also create information of portfolio management. And the assistant function may process document control and care for activities. We can also have positions by nomination. These we might find typically in a company. We get the CEO or the manager, the managers, the supervisors, and the assistants. Or we can also have, you know, coordinators, or if we want to expand the nomination or the structure. We can also have or see a position by levels. I can create levels, and in these levels, I'm going to find, or I'm going to divide by points or ranges. So every point that falls between these ranges are going to be located in level 7, level 7, and then I have upper levels here. So these are going to pretty much what we're going to be getting this morning for the evaluation process. We're going to point or give weight based on points, and then we're going to create the levels. Some also different ways to see a job position by scope. You see, I have here how the strategic, the tactic, and the operational processes interact with the scope, the function, how also the derivative, assistance, and basic function interact. By nomination, how all these other positions interact with this position, and by levels, which other levels interact with the position in this case. What is job evaluation that we're going to be working today? It's the analysis of the requirements of each position derived from the activities and results assigned to each one using a common language. And we are highlighting this in red, using a common language, because we're gonna use the same concepts to value an assistant position as the general manager position. We're gonna fold them in the same universe. What is job evaluation? A position evaluation process through common factors, assigning a value to positions based on their content and their relative weight with an organization. So we're gonna value the content of the position, not the skills, or in this way, the experience of what a person can bring to the company personally with its behaviors. What's the job evaluation objective? First, establish the relationship between job position in terms of content and requirements. Rank in order of importance according to the contribution that the position must make to the business results. Establish a relative distance between position with that order. And in a job evaluation, we're gonna give value to the job position, not to the person who is in it. Some of the job evaluation methods that we can find in the market, I got points methods by factor, factor comparison methods, profiling methods and guide scales, the Hay Guide chart profile method. That's the one that the management has decided to use. The Turner percentage method, that it's also a mathematical way of calculating. And we also have a bunch of other methods that we can use for job evaluation. I don't have a weight of which of these methods are more effectively. We have experience with the Hay Guide chart. We have worked in some other companies with this methodology. We find it pretty robust, pretty strong in concept, and also is up to date. So that's what we have decided to use this methodology. So if you go to other companies or if you get to be involved in other evaluation, you can find these other methods. There's no one that we can say pretty much is the best one or complies with all the needs of a company. Every company is different, but in this case, we have decided go by the Hay guide chart. Let's give it some history of where does it come from. The Hay guide chart was developed by Edward Hay in 1942. This was one of the pioneers in the organizational development. We can say, but well, this was created a long time ago. Well, the methodology is being updated every year by more concepts, by more research that we have found. And also, we have found that this methodology can be applied in many companies, in different industries. And also we have found that since it's managed by score points, the score can be understood in any language. It's a number. So that's one of the good things or benefits of this method. It's being modified over the years to reflect the changing needs and evolution of organization. It is permanently updated through an internal system and converts the value of the currencies of each country to the US dollars. We're gonna find this in the AMI factor that is called. So we can create the same perspective for all the countries that pay or use the US dollar in a market. It is used worldwide. It is being used in more than 40 countries. More than 10,000 companies use them. I have a zero missing there. It's high utility in multinationals due to the solidity of the system and to have the same language in all the countries that operate. That's what I was talking. It's a number and that's a benefit. And it values the position at all levels and business sectors. So we have here some of the background that where the methodology comes from. This HR guide, the copyrights and all the let's say all the rights were acquired by Korn Ferry. So in the US and worldwide it's distributed by Korn Ferry right now. What are some of the key elements of the job evaluation? We're gonna pretty much gonna compare so we can give it a value. We're gonna be compare positionings, we're gonna be comparing markets, and that's some of the things that we give in the evaluation. We're gonna compare based on an analysis. We're gonna compare positions. This is gonna create us common information to all positions. We're gonna have the same language to understand these positions. Then this information that we're gonna generate is gonna be analyzed by a committee. So this is not gonna be the decision or the pointing, the scores are gonna be analyzed by a committee. It's not going to be one person. It's not going to be one manager in HR, or it's not going to be the general manager who's going to be deciding what's the score for these positions. You as the manager or you as the owner of the process are going to give us a big scope that what the job position does, but the committee is going to analyze also this information. So that's why it's important to give some real scores or to perform a well interpolation when we are getting these scores. And we're going to value, as we repeated, the position, not the occupant. this is going to be different. This is going to be, sorry, this is going to be difficult to differentiate in your mind, to unplug who is in the position and what's the objective of the position. And we're going to have to value here and now. We cannot value a past description of a job position, or we cannot value the future, or we cannot value what's the best image of that position. We're gonna have to value the here and now. And if this throw or shows a score does not make meaning, that's the reality. And that's why when we get that, we're gonna be analyzing this information in the committee so we can get to modify the position if it's the case. It is really important that the job descriptions are up to date. Otherwise, I'm gonna be valuing something that is not real. I'm probably gonna giving more scores to that position, or I'm gonna be probably giving less score to that position. So it's really important that the job descriptions are completed and are clear so we can be valuing the here and now. And then it's gonna be indifferent of titles. We're gonna value the position. If we get to relate titles, titles are related to the occupant in this case. So in the key elements, some of the factors you may find expressed or might be shown in the charts. As you cover the guide, the help guide, we're gonna be seeing some of these terms: thinking challenge, the know-how, the problem solving, the thinking environment, the human relation skills, management breadth, thinking environment, and we're gonna see some terms as master's degrees, routine, defined, diversified, restricted, close supervision, general direction, broad practice. These are the let's say vocabulary or the terms that we're going to be using for the charts. So as you receive in the guide, expanded what's the meaning of all these terms, and we're going to be covering today this stuff. So let's start with how a chart views. So in the charts, we're gonna pretty much use the numbers, as I told you. The concepts or the meanings of all the elements right here, we're gonna use the ones that I send you in the guide. Right here, you may see the concepts in Spanish. Don't worry about it. Are the same as we're gonna use in English. I have tried to find the charts in English, but it was real difficult. I couldn't find it freely in the web. There was no free copyright chart that I could find, and the company has already acquired the rights to use the charts in Spanish, so we don't want to get in other expenses, because the thing that we're gonna pretty much gonna be using are the scores. But I'm gonna show you where are the elements, because the concepts are pretty much the same. So right here we have the know-how chart. In the know-how chart and in some other charts, we're gonna have information in the two axes. I got the x-axis. In the x-axis, I can find the know-how. Here I have the element we're gonna be measuring right here, the amplitude, the managerial, the human relations. Then in the elements, we're gonna find levels. And right here, you have divided the levels. In this chart, the levels are labeled with a letter from L to H. In this other element of managerial skills, We have labeled the element, we have labeled the levels in Roman numbers. And also in the chart, you may find these shading squares. These shading squares are gonna be quality control fields that we're gonna understand later on. And we also gonna find a 3 criteria shading in every square of the chart. These are labeled with an equal, that is the middle number. If we find an equal sign, this means that the meaning of this concept, you know, falls right with the concept that you are analyzing. If you are analyzing a position and this concept falls what we are trying to say, we're gonna give it an equal sign. If the concept is a little bit more, so it goes a little bit more with the next concept. So in this case, if I have a position that falls in the concept of F, but I think that also have a little concept of G, I'm gonna give it a positive sign. Otherwise, if I have a concept that goes a little bit more with E, so it's less or more equal to the upper concept, we're gonna give it a negative sign. So don't get confused with this. In the exercise, you are gonna find how to use it and how we're gonna give it a meaning when we are scoring. The shading criteria is gonna work pretty much as a tweaking knob. It's gonna we're gonna use it to calibrate the concept to get in the right or to false in the right concept that we are looking for. So use the signs as a tweaking tool or as a calibration tool when you are trying to get the right concept for the position that you are valuing. Okay, we're gonna find these signs in not all of the charts. These are gonna be used pretty much in the first and the last chart. The second chart, we only gonna have negative or positive sign. And I'm also gonna explain that. So we're ready for the quiz review number 2. Please. What are the job evaluation elements? We're gonna be measuring the know-how, the problem solving, and the accountability or responsibility of the position. What's the know-how? These are my supplies to think, my knowledge, the skills and experience required by the position. This is my knowledge. The problem solving is the process, also known as the way in which knowledge, so here I'm going to apply the knowledge that I have, the way in which knowledge, skills, and experiences are converted into results through the analysis, creation, or solution of problems. This is my thinking supplies. My knowledge supplies is my process, the way I think. And the accountability or responsibility is related to the results. A position exists to generate results. And this is the action that it's going to be taking, whoever is in the position. So I have the know-how, what do I know? The problem solving, how do I use my knowledge to pretty much solve problems? And with the way I think, what do I achieve? What actions or what results can I get from the solving of problems with the knowledge that I have? The three basic elements of a job content common to all jobs: the know-how, the problem solving, the responsibility, and accountability. The know-how. This is the sum of every kind of knowledge, skills, and experience, however acquired, which the job holder requires for acceptable job performance. Acceptable job performance. The problem solving is the level of complexity of thinking involved when the job holder applies the know-how to get the job done. We can only apply, or we can only think with what we know. If I delegated a financial task or a financial activity to someone that is in operations, and this one has not the formation or does not know how to perform financial activities, the problem is not going to be solved pretty much. And accountability or responsibility is the impact of the job and the limitations placed upon the job holder to take independent action. So this is pretty much related to liberty to act. The know-how, another kind of way of seeing it, is the depth and breadth of technical know-how: planning, organizing and controlling, communication and influencing. Problem solving, it's going to be related to the thinking environment and to the thinking challenge. Right here, we're going to already find the elements of the tables. So in the know-how table, the one that I showed in the beginning, let me go back really quick. I have here the depth of breadth, the managerial skills, and the human relations. Go back pretty quick. Depth of breadth, planning, organizing, and controlling, communicating, influence. In the problem-solving table that's going to be shown later, the two main elements that we're going to be valuing is thinking environment and thinking challenge. And for responsibility or accountability, we're going to be measuring the freedom to act, the magnitude. This is related to the area of impact, and this is related in this case to the financial impact or magnitude that the position manages, and how does this impact the organization. It's going to be a direct or indirect contribution. Other way to seeing it, the job evaluation elements, I got the know-how. In the know-how, we're going to be measuring the depth and breadth of the technical know-how, the skills that it has to planning, organizing, and controlling, and the skills of communication and influence. In problem solving, we're going to be measuring the thinking environment, the thinking challenge. And in accountability, we're going to be giving it a number representation to freedom of act, magnitude, and the type of impact that we might find. A position is related, or it's going to give the know-how. A position is got to be shown what kind of problems is going to be is going to find in the job place, and we can derive from the position or the job description the accountability of the freedom of act that this position has. What does not contemplate job evaluation? Time or work pressure, workloads, supply and demand of human resources, a collaborator characteristics, example, discretion, honesty, trust. These are more of the job occupant. Special work situations, and physical or emotional risk in the job place. Let's go ahead and send quiz number 3. All right, so let's go ahead and understand what's the know-how. The know-how, it's the knowledge, let me, sorry. The knowledge, experience, abilities required for the job. The knowledge required, both formal qualifications and or skills and experience acquired over the time, including life skills, where understanding of other needs is important. Planning and organization and organizing the form of an individual's involvement in planning and prioritizing their own work to the requirement for the strategic planning of a function, service, or department. And the communication skills is the need to communicate with, understand and influence other people, whether employees or service users. These factors has breadth, this is the variety, and depth. Positions require various combinations of some knowledge of many things or lot of knowledge of a few things. What is value is the sum of total of knowledge, experience, and skills. In the know-how, the depth of knowledge, it's both formal qualification and skills, everything that you know up to this point. The management breadth, the supervision management of staff and control and organization of the area of work in which the job operates. And the human relation or the human skills is the need to communicate with and understand and influence other people, whether it's the staff or in client or outside client. Let's see our first approach of the know-how chart. We got the breadth in your y-axis. And then we have the depth in your y, in your x-axis. Yeah, sorry, my y-axis and my x-axis. X1, we're gonna call it x1s. So the breadth and the depth. So in depth, we can see some positions that need to know a little bit of sales, a little bit of operations, a little bit of finance, a little bit of technology, or I'm gonna be giving some speciality to operations, finances, and etc. And in the know-how chart, I have the X2 factor or the X2 axis, where we're gonna find the human relations. So remember, for the know-how chart, we're gonna be measuring the breadth, the depth, and the human relations. About the depth and breadth of technical know-how. In management breadth, we're gonna start with the basic one, the inexistent management breadth. Right here, we're gonna find positions that pretty much perform tasks, does not require a managerial skill. The process or the policy is gonna be given the directions. Management breadth also, we start with the Roman numbers. We're gonna find the basic or minimal. This is gonna perform activities, integrate and coordinate activities, and homogeneous, sorry, here was the other meaning, but you're gonna find it in the appendix of the guide. I got here the homogeneous. The homogeneous level is gonna integrate different processes. This work in the same area, but integrates different processes. Integrate and coordinate several processes with the common purpose in the same area. An heterogeneous level, this is gonna integrate various processes with the same purpose. So let's say I have the sale process, the customer service process, the HR process, and the accounting process with various processes, the integration of various processes. And then the wide management breadth, we're gonna integrate some company processes. I'm gonna integrate the commercial process with the operational process and the finance process. This is the wide management breadth. And then I have the global breadth. A global breadth, it's gonna integrate companies or companies process. So let's say I have company A plus company B is gonna give me a corporation in this element of measurement. Also in the know-how chart, in the human relations, I have 3 levels. I got the basic level. It's ordinary courtesy and effectiveness in dealing with others is required. An important human relations, we're gonna find here understanding, influencing, emphasizing, and communicating with people are important. Considerations in achieving job objectives. If I, score someone with a number 2, it means that covers number 1 pretty much. And then I got a critical level. This is the influencing level where developing and changing the motivation and behavior of people are frequently and regularly required and are central to the achievement of objectives. In the critical level, I need to create behavior changes pretty much. So I have none or minimal. I don't know if you can see it. Let me move this away. None or minimal, it's gonna be in the basic, important, it's moderated use of human relations, and in the critical, it's a high use of human relations. Where can we find these in the table, in the know-how table? As I told you, we're gonna be using these ones only the numbers. So I have here the know-how table. In the know-how table, it's gonna be located the depth of knowledge right here in the white axis. This one goes by letters. Remember, in your guide, you're gonna find the same concepts or the meanings of the letters in the depth of knowledge area. The depth of knowledge area, it's gonna cover all the squares in the horizontal axis. The management breadth, this one, it's gonna be labeled with a T if it doesn't have one, and it's gonna be labeled with Roman numbers in the X1 axis. These ones cover all the squares. Remove this away. And your human relations are going to be located in the lower x-axis, or x2, if we want to call it that way. Number 1 is going to be labeled with basic, is going to be labeled in number 1, important in square number 2, and critical in square number 3. And then remember that we have the calibration or the tweaking factor where we can choose equal if the meaning or the concept that we are looking for is the same as described right here. If it's less, we're going to use a minus. So it's going to be a combination of D and C if we use the minus. And then we're going to use the plus sign if we think it's a little bit more than the concept that we have here. In this example, if it goes from D to E. in this case. So remember, you have the three tweaking signs where we're gonna use the equal sign if we think if the meaning or the concept is equal to the one that is portrayed here in the letter. If it's less, I'm gonna use the first score, and if it's more, I'm gonna use the third score. Let's go ahead and answer quiz review number 4, please. All right, let's continue with the job evaluation elements considered in the problem solving. What's the problem solving? Okay, this is the level of complexity of thinking involved when the job holder applies the know-how to get the job done. So we can only solve problems with what we know. If we don't know, we're not going to be able to solve the problem. So to summarize, what's the problem solving? The areas of, to summarize the problem solving element, the areas of the job that are measures are the need to make decisions. What actions need to be taken in order to carry out the duty of a job? The level of decision making. Are there simple rules to follow, or there is a degree of freedom to determine the action to be taken? So the problem solving, this is the thinking required by the job for analyzing, evaluating, creating, reasoning, arriving at the drawing conclusions. The raw material of problem solving is thinking, knowledge of a fact, principles and means. Ideas are put together from something already there. In plain words, you think with what you know. Problem solving is limited by the extent that thinking is governed by instructions and rules, covered by precedents or referral to others. The elements of the problem solving. I got the thinking environment. The thinking environment is the thought conditioned by rules, methods, procedures, precedents that receive the position to think, measure freedom to think. And the thinking challenge are the situations that arise, characteristics of the problem, existing precedents for the solution. And the thinking environment. This measures the extent to which the job is governed by rules and procedures, how limited it is. For example, a job where there are clearly defined rules to follow will score lower than one where to some extent the job holder can make decisions on the appropriate course of action to be taken. So a job that has policies, processes, and these other conditions that limit how the job may operate will get a lower score because already the policy or the process will make the thought for that position. All right, he or she doesn't need to think a lot. It's already written. It's called when you go by the book, pretty much. The thinking challenge. This factor measures the difficulty of thinking required to solve problems. It assesses the complexity of the problem and the extent to which it lies within the required experience of the job holder. In practice, this can range from repetitive jobs requiring solutions by simple choice of things learned to jobs requiring constructive thinking and a significant degree of evaluate judgment. Example, assessing the merits or otherwise of a number of options. In the problem-solving chart, when we talk about the thinking environment, we'll have these levels. The what and the how is already defined in the low levels. Level A, detailed by rules. Level B, instructions. C, procedures. D, diversified procedures. In the two upper levels, here defines the what, but it delegates the how. I can define what's done, but I'm gonna delegate how it's done. Right here, I have clear defined policies and broad functional policies. And in the real high levels, the G and H, this one is gonna define what to do. This one is related to the strategy, the higher levels, external environment, and these ones go defined by external laws, pretty much. Let me move this away. Okay, so also with the problem solving chart, my second approach, the thinking challenge that we were mentioning. In the thinking challenge, I'm gonna find my first one called selective memory. Right here, I pretty much act in a routine. I have a problem, I just got one solution. Low mental demands. One problem, one solution. When I'm in the support level, this one pretty much work with models. It's gonna take some reasoning to solve the problem. So here I have one problem and I got 3 different solutions. I may use a model to find the answer. My next level, the analysis interpolation. This one is also related sometimes to the tactical positions. Right here, to use my analysis interpolation, I'm gonna have to put some of judgment to make a decision or to solve the problem. Right here, I have a problem, I have 3 or 4 solutions, and I'm gonna have to make a judgment that which one of these are the best solution. In the strategic level, I'm gonna have to innovate and use my adaptive thinking. Right here, I have a problem, but I do not have a precedent of how to act. So I'm gonna have to invent or innovate. These are complex situations where analytical thinking, also the use of concept and method design are gonna be used. And my last level, the one called uncertainly, I don't have a precedent, I don't know how to act, I don't even know what's the problem, and I can't even imagine what's the solution. So here I work under a basis of uncertainty without precedents, and I'm gonna have to use a lot of creative thinking to get away from this situation. It's kind of what we're living right now. The pandemic, it's uncertainty. We do not know, we don't have anyone alive who can tell us what was the problem in the last pandemic in 1918, I think it was. And we're still looking for the solution. We're still looking for the vaccine. We have been trying, I don't know, face mask. We are, washing a lot of hands, and we are not out of this situation yet. So whoever is in charge of creating the vaccine or give us the solution for this situation that we live in right now, it's a position, work, and uncertainty. All right. Right here, we have the chart for the problem solving element. Okay, so refer please to your help guide with the concepts that are going to be right here and right here. We're going to apply the concept of the thinking environment. If you may see, these are also labeled with letters as the other ones. This one's got a reason. I'm going to explain it later. And then we have the thinking challenge in the x-axis. The y-axis is going to be my thinking environment, and my x-axis is going to be my thinking challenge. These ones are labeled with numbers, with the Western numbers. All right. In this factor, when you find, you're gonna find also the minus sign and the plus sign, okay? We're gonna use the minus sign if we are, you know, if we agree that the concept goes with the first percentage, and we're gonna use the plus sign if we agree if the concept goes a little bit more with the next one. So if I'm gonna put a plus sign to this coordinate, it means that it has some memory and some models concept, okay? So remember, minus sign, not negative, minus goes right with the meaning of the thinking challenge expressed right here, or if I use the plus sign, it's gonna go with a little of the meaning of the next level, okay? Here we go. Minus for this one, or plus for the one who you think might have a little of the next coming up level of the thinking challenge. My next table, your third table, it's gonna be the combination of the problem solving and the thinking challenge, no? Right here, I got the problem solving expressed in a percentage number, and then I have the problem solving expressed right here in a score. So how do I use this table? Okay, right here it goes. The problem solving is going to be expressed by the percentage, and the knowledge experience is going to be expressed by the numbers right here in the x-axis. So I have problem solving in the y and the know-how in the x. All right. Let's say that I got a 230 score, this 230 score, or let's say the 350. The example that we just did that throws 350. All right. If I go 350 score that I got in the know-how, the 350 score that I got in the know-how, and interpolated with the 33%. How do I got this 33%? This 33% I got it from, if I interpolate, you know, a thinking environment of E. If I get a thinking environment of E and I get a thinking challenge of 3, I got E3, and the minus sign is gonna give me this 33%. So I take this 33% because I need to get points in this table of the thinking environment times the thinking challenge. I do not get a point. I only get a percentage value. To start with the calculation of the job evaluation, I need to get a point. So I'm gonna first determine the percentage value, and this percentage value plus the score that I got in the know-how, I'm gonna go to the other table and you know, interpolate 33% of the problem solving that I determined from this table, 33% of the problem solving table times the 350 of the know-how, I'll get a 115 score. So to pull out the scores of the problem solving, first I'm gonna find out the percentage that is related to that coordinate. I'm gonna locate the percentage in the other table, and I'm gonna interpolate this with the score that I got from the know-how before. So I got here 115. Right here, I got it an example. The one that I'm using is 33%. Imagine that I got a 33% from the problem solving, and also imagine that I got a 230 score in the know-how. So it's 230 in the know-how times 33% is gonna give me 76 points if I interpolate this way. All right, 76 points. Okay, so with this, we can go ahead with the quiz review number 5. And then we also gonna work in some calculations in the table. Please go ahead and answer this question. It'll take you a minute. Okay, so we have now the skills to determine the problem solving chart. So right now, right here, I have these coordinates that you can see on screen, and I'm gonna take out the polling so you can start filling the answers. Remember that the first one is gonna give me an answer in a percentage number, and then I'm gonna have to use that percentage here, where I'm gonna put it in the table, where I'm gonna determine first the know-how, then I'm gonna get the percentage, I'm gonna get the score of the know-how times the percentage, and this is gonna give me the points that I'm looking for. So first, give me a percentage right here, then imagine that you're gonna interpolate a know-how. Here's gonna give you score, then gonna give you a percentage here, and this, the score times the percentage is gonna give you the total of points of the problem solving. All right, I'm gonna put this one in the middle, sorry, so all you guys can work with it. Please take 10 minutes for these two. If you finish earlier, we'll continue. Go ahead. If you have any questions or whatever, I'll be here in the question and answer or the chat. Okay, so we already got those exercises. Let's now understand the accountability chart, or the accountability portion of the job element, the third one that we're going to be measuring. Accountability or responsibility is the part of the premise that every charge is there to generate results. As we said, the nature of a position is to generate results. Accountability is the answerability for action and for the consequences of that action. It is measured effect of the job on the end result. This one's got 3 dimensions, or the axis that we're gonna be working. I got freedom to act, magnitude, the area of impact. The magnitude, we're gonna be covering this in dollars. And I have the type of impact. The type of impact can be direct or indirect. We're gonna cover that. So for the accountability chart, we got the freedom to act, the magnitude, area of impact, and the type of impact. The freedom of act is measured by the existence or absence of personal or procedural control and guidance. So, how much freedom do I have to act, pretty much, and conduct a procedure? Magnitude, this is indicated by the general size of the area, most clearly affected by the job measure on an annual monetary basis where possible, otherwise is regarded as indeterminate. Some positions might be responsible of a budget. Some positions might be responsible of financial investment, or some positions might be responsible of possessions or you know, machinery equipment that is going to be under their accountability. And the type of impact is the job's degree of impact on the resources determined and their area of impact. Impact is gauged in terms of the directness of the job's influence on end results in this area and answerability for them. Okay. In the accountability chart, we have the freedom of act. Right here, we can find, you know, general supervision, standardized, control, restricted, or limited operations. The what and how is defined in all of these concepts. It's these positions are pretty much supervised. And I can find these positions in the levels L, the ones limited, A, B, C, and D. We continue with general management or specific direction. Right here, the what is defined, but the how is delegated. The supervision is differentiated. I will find this kind of supervision and in the F and E levels. And the strategic guide or strategic orientation and broad orientation establishes the what. And here I can pretty much find the G, the H, and I levels. These are supervisions or accountability or oriented to do the job. My third approach is the accountability, or my third element of the magnitude. The third approach of the accountability is the magnitude. And this one is going to be expressed in US dollars. Here, I'm gonna, all right. This chart is, it's managed by this factor called the AMI factor. Let me see if I have the chart so you can get to see where's the AMI factor. Right here. You'll find here this AMI factor. This AMI factor is used depending where you're located in the world. As we mentioned, we're gonna use the same information and we're gonna express this in US dollars. So if you are in the USA, the AMA factors, since the USA is the owner of the dollar for the market, the AMA factor is gonna be 1. So here I'm gonna use this meaning of the score. You know, here, if it's 0, if I use 0, it's undetermined. If I use 1, it's very small. This means that your budget or your accountability goes to $1,000. If it's small, it's going to be $100,000. If it's small, it's going to be $100,000 to $1 million, your responsibility, or what your job position impacts in the balance. If it's medium, it's going to be 1 million to 10 million. If it's big, it's going to be 10 million to 100 million. And if it's very big, it's going to be 100 million to 1,000 million to 1 billion. So in this way. So in the US, I'm going to use the factor number 1, so this can keep as we can see in the table. If I go to Ecuador, since it's a different market, but we still use the dollar, Korn Ferry and the Hay Group has determined the AMI factor by 5 for this year for Ecuador. So for Ecuador, I'm going to use all the concepts, but I'm going to put a 5 in front of all the monetary degrees. So in magnitude, that's how we're gonna work, you know, and determine if I'm not accountable for any monetary or money accountability. Very small, 100,000, small 100,000 to 1,000,000, medium million to 10 million, big 10 million to 100, and we saw very big to 100 million to 1 billion. Okay. My third approach in accountability is called the impact. The impact can be direct. If I find it direct, it's going to be primer or shared, or it can be indirect. If I find it indirect, it can be as a contribution, contributory, or remote. These ones are going to be expressed by a letter. P for direct primer, S for direct share, C for indirect impact in a contributory way, or R for indirect impact in a remote way. So as we notice, we have two types of impact, indirect and direct. Let's start by the farthest impact, the remote impact. Here, where provisions of information for others to use involved. Cierto? So here is a provider of information that I can take decisions. And also I can outsource this information. I can buy this information. So in this way, the outsource provider might be giving me a remote assistance with information. In the indirect impact has a contributory. These may be where there is responsibility for giving advice or facilitation which influence decisions. The same way, it's got a little bit more of impact, but it's also a provider of information to make decisions, or a contributory provider to the end result of the balance. In a direct way, in a direct impact way, I start with share. Here, where there is a shared responsibility for the end result. I'm not the owner, or I'm not responsible of the whole process. I share the responsibility with other position. It can be from the same area, or it can be from other area. So we understand that we interpolate processes. And in this way, the responsibility or the accountability is shared. And if the impact is direct and is primer or prime, this one is labeled with a P. Here is where the job has overall responsibility for the end. So here I'm the direct responsible of the actions, or the direct responsible of the end result of the actions I have taken or I did not took to take place, or to cover the strategy. All right. So where we gonna find these elements in the table? Okay, the freedom of act is in your y-axis. Remember, refer to the concepts when you're gonna be evaluating this with the positions that you manage, or with Luisa. Remember, all these concepts are in the provided helping guide that you have in the PDF format. Freedom of act, I have it in the Y. This goes all the way from left to right with scores in the chart. The magnitude is going to be expressed in the x-axis. In this x-axis, I have here the magnitude. Remember, indeterminate, if the position does not manage a budget or does not have accountability of money. Small, very small, small, medium, big, very big. And remember that for the US, we're gonna use the AMI factor #1. So we're gonna keep the ones that are in the chart. If we are in some other part of the world, we're gonna look up for what's my AMI AMI factor, and I'm going to multiply this for the numbers here. The magnitude goes all the way down, okay? Impact. I'm going to find here the 4 kinds of impact, you know, the 2 kinds of impact and the 4 subdivisions for the impact. So indirect or direct. Remote, that is related to the R, I'm going to find it in any of the magnitude squares in the first one labeled with the R. Contributory, it's labeled with the C. Share is going to be labeled with an S, and primer is going to be labeled with a P. Okay, so here are all the elements of the accountability chart. Freedom of act goes all the way from left to right, the scores, magnitude from up to down, and the impact, I'll find the 4 elements of the impact, you know, remote, contributory, shared, and primer right here. In this chart, I also have the tweaking or the calibration element, the shading, okay? So remember, plus for the first score, equal sign for the middle one, and minus for the third one. Remember, here's the same. I will use a plus, here's inverted. Minus is going to be 25, equal is going to be 29, and plus is going to be 33. Okay, so it's minus my first score equals the one in the middle and plus the third one. Okay, so I'm going to use equal if I think that the concept goes right on with whatever is on this description. I'm going to go with the minus if I think that it shares most of this concept, but it's got some of the lesser level. And I'm going to use a plus if it goes right with the concept, but it has a little bit more of the next one. All right. So that's not the answer. Let's go ahead and answer quiz review number 6, please. You're gonna find here 2 questions, so it might take us a minute by now. Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna see, I think I have a question in the chat. Yes, Diane, regardless of the amount, every position is responsible in a monetary way. If I'm not able to find the monetary way that you are responsible, I'm going to use undetermined. But if you are responsible of a budget, or if you are responsible of a commercial goal, I'm going to use the whole number. That's the impact, that's the magnitude of the impact that you are involved. But yes, every position has to have an impact, a monetary impact in the organization. Don't worry right now with the dollars, with determining what's the magnitude. What is important right now is that you get to learn the mechanic, how to use the chart, because later on we're gonna get you or your manager is gonna get you the exact number of the financial magnitude. So don't worry right now about the number. We can determine that with the finance department or with your manager What is important right now is that you understand how to use the chart. All right. So right now we can go ahead and determine the points for the accountability chart. All right, let's go ahead and interpolate the following the following exercise. Let me put the polling for you so you can go ahead and complete the table with your answers. I'll put it right here so it doesn't get in your way. All right, let's go ahead and take 5 minutes for this exercise. We're doing pretty good. Let's go ahead and do my final calculations. So right now, we're gonna simulate that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions to calculate. All right, you have the coordinates in each of the exercise. I'm gonna be also, you know, showing this screen if you don't have it with you. Remember, right here you're gonna use all the tables. I'm gonna here test or review if you need to you need to go in depth in the use of the tables, or you are already trained to use the tables. Remember, first you have to obtain the know-how score. This is going to give you a number. This is already a number we're going to add. Then determine the problem solving percentage. This percentage, I will interpolate it in the other table with the first score of the know-how, and this is going to give me the score that I'm going to use for the knowledge, experience, and skills divided by the percentage of problem solving. So remember, the know-how is the knowledge, experience, skills. This is this value. This one is this other value. If I look up in the table, it's going to give me this score. Accountability, I have here the coordinates. Okay, I have here the coordinates, and this is going to give me a score. I have to sum the 3 scores to give me the total of points of this position. All right, remember that use the signs to determine where is located the right score. In this last example, I did not put the signs in purpose, but remember, you have the signs. So first, get me the score for the know-how, then determine the percentage of the problem solving, interpolate the score of the know-how times the divided by the score of the problem solving. This is gonna give me a number. Accountability with the interpolation of the coordinates is gonna give you a number. Then I sum up these 3 numbers, and this is the total score of points that I may get for this position. We are pretty much advanced more than 80% of the workshop. We are finishing, so please go ahead and take 10 minutes for this exercise, please. I'm gonna be putting the multiple choice so you can give me your answers. Go ahead, 10 minutes, and we're gonna wrap up and finish the workshop. All right, right here you have in screen an example of how you gonna create, let's say, the intervals or the ranges. So, sorry, let me pick up the laser point. Right here, I can identify the intervals of an organization. Let's say that in this organization, general manager has 6,400 points, and the most simple positions got 5 points, but that's not a reality. But what we're gonna look here, it's what we call the intervals. So if we see here 611 points, we're gonna locate it right here on this interval. So this means that all the positions that have scored between 800 and 400 are gonna fall on this interval, and are gonna be having like like the same pay, or is gonna be on the same level of pay. And we have the graduation of points that obviously these are translated to currency or points related to money. So if we have a 256, we can locate it right here on this interval. 1,258 is going to be located right here. So it's going to be in the upper structure position. 992 is going to be right here. And then, you know, the other one that we got over the 2000, it's going to be right here. So this is pretty much to see the intervals. No, each interval has a 15% growth in organizational weight. Each interval constitutes one level. So we're going to pretty much, as show you before in the score structure, we're going to create levels. Charge scores between the interval are considered at the same level of responsibility. So the levels will determine responsibility also. Levels start with the lowest scores in the structure, as we saw here. For example, 175, and it goes up in different levels. Okay. Quality control. We have internal factor consistency between factors. Know, think, and act is gotta have a structure. I cannot have someone I cannot have someone with a lot of knowledge, not letting him think and expect a lot of action for that person. You gotta have a consistency in the levels in this way. It's a support or staff profile I can determine with that. Do I have an alignment to the structure? Do I have an alignment to the strategy that it's been traced? And also I have an alignment map of charges. I can create the structure. So when we talk about the internal factor consistency, it's got to have an inter-element equilibrium of each chart. So if I ask you for the know-how and E, you know, it means that sometimes I expect you to solve problems also with a level of E. And if in this way I can move in the accountability, I can move in the same level, or I can have a lesser level. So here you have the consistency between factors that we were talking about. Do not get, or do not try to get the job evaluation by a mechanical way. What I mean is that if in the first field, the know-how, you give it an E, it doesn't mean that the other one's got to be an E, or it doesn't mean the accountability also it's an E. What we're going to be valuing is what's in the job description. If the job description does not show that the person or the occupant, if the job description does not show that the occupant has a problem solving of E, does not put an E. You know, you have to value right here, right now. If the job description shows us that the problem solving concept is the C, go ahead and write down the C. Afterwards, the committee will analyze why you gave it a C to that position. So it's really important that you give it the correct concept to the position, because the committee and human resources are also going to be reviewing why you gave that weight or why you gave that score to that position. Impact profile. The impact profile, I can find it in the reverse side of the know-how and problem-solving table. You will have a dial right there of a half moon, where we can determine on based on the profile impact, if the position is going to give me an indirect impact that is based on intellectual results, support, or it's going to give me a direct impact that it's pretty much related to responsibility of material results that goes over here. Right here also have the impact profile where we're going to find, as we mentioned, the 15% growth in between positions. So right here, I can see an analogy between positions, between the position that's been scored, that has scored, this is gotta be 2 steps up to the other position. So we have some elements for the quality control, even though if the score does not apply, or even though if the score does not give us some meaning to what you've been given to that position. The structure efficiency also is the distance between positions. I do gotta have like a difference between positions. The one acceptable is the 15% in scores. Then I have a clear difference if I got 32% between scores, and is an evident difference if I got 52% or indifference between the scores. So when you are gonna be scoring, try to relate to the job description. The job description is gonna give you most of the concept that you're gonna be evaluating. So try to have the job descriptions pretty much updated. Here you may have an example of the comparisons. We're going to compare the factors. So even though, no matter if the position is called a manager, you see, or if it's called like a supervisor or chief of any operation, it will fall in different scores depending on the nature of the company. So for these means, I can see that the nature of this company pretty much is a commercial company. That's why, whoever is doing the production, or whoever is doing HR, might have a lower score. If I have a firm like an HR firm or an HR company, just specialization of human resources, I'm going to be sure that the manager of HR is going to have a greater score than the commercial manager in this way. Also, in problem solving, it doesn't matter what position you hold, or it doesn't matter the nomination you get. The problem solving is based on what kind of thinking you are required to solve problems. And also here we're going to find an example of the profile of profiles. No matter what's your nomination or what's your position, I will have a profile with a plus, the ones that will give me some material results, and I'll find a 0 or a minus on a sign of whoever gives me information or assistance to get decisions pretty much. I have here in screen an example of a job, of a map career visualization. Whenever we have all the scores of the organization of the company, we can label these with levels, and we can create a map of all the positions, and with the map we can proceed to development. With the map, whoever is in the lower positions may get an horizon of what to do or what to be expected to apply to a different position. You see here the difference between the positions that in the table, and it will give me a clear understanding of how many points or how much points do I need to get to the other positions. These points you already know. You get it by formal training, by formal education, and also by acquiring more human skills or acquiring more responsibilities in the job. And let's go ahead with the quiz review. Number 7 is one of our last quizzes. We only have like 3 more questions. Please go ahead with this one. No, quiz number 7 we already answered, is the one that you already answered. The one was all of the above. Okay, this one was all of the above. Sorry, we already answered this one. Let's proceed with what we have. The requirements for a good job evaluation. We already covered this one. You guys gonna see. We need a description of updated job description, clarity of objectives assigned to the function, profile of the function, nomination of the value committee, training for the line of supervision in evaluation of positions, supervisor's time to intervene in the evaluation. This is very important because the supervisor is the owner of the process, and he or she is the owner of the process, we assume that the supervisor knows all the activities or tasks that all the other positions got to cover that are below its operation. Time and concentration of the evaluation committee. Since we are gonna give a weight in money, in currency, it's very important that the committee or whoever is gonna be checking the evaluation of the scores put some concentration, because if I give more points, I can be granting more money to that wage, or if I give less points, I can be also giving less pay of the real magnitude of the job. And this is going to be accompanied with a communication program of the results of the position evaluated. During this process, Viviana or whoever is in the HR, or also the general managers, are going to be starting to communicate what are the scores. And also, you might be questioned by the jobs holder, why was that score, or why he got that score. So it's very important that you revise the concepts, because when you get to see pretty much supervisors or managers, when you get together with the committee is gonna ask you why you gave that weight to that position, or why you score in that way that job position. So also the job holder might ask you why you gave me that score. So you gotta be prepared to debate and communicate what was your criteria of scoring. Let's go ahead and go and see pretty quick what are some of the uses of a job evaluation. I'm going to use it for career development, salary administration or the wages administration, hierarchy promotions, as we saw in the chart, location in the organizational structure, where am I located, and also it helps us for career planning. So you can go ahead and see what other positions might be suitable for you in the organization. For the wage or salary administration, we gonna see these in concepts of equity. We'll see what's the equity in the organization, competitiveness with the outside market or with other organizations. We also gonna we're gonna have the opportunity for individual performance, understanding that. So based on the individual performance, I can trace some different levels of wage for the same position. And also it's going to be showing the business results. I can see the impact of every position, and this is going to be translated to the committing of the strategy and the business results. In wage administration, we're going to evaluate the job evaluation is going to give you equity for instating wages. We're going to compare the outside market to our organization and see if we are paying competitively. In the individual performance, the achievement of quality and quantity of objectives and goals, compliance with the work plans. And so right here, I can trace different bands depending on the quality or the achievement of the objectives, and these will be related to the individual performance of the job holder. And as a business result, I can see if the strategy is being complied, if I am completing business objectives, if I am also getting to the sales budgets or my expenses budgets. With the job evaluation and wage administration, we're going to be working with equity and competitiveness. The salary, these will help us to trace salary scales. And right here, you might see, I'm going to show you a chart of how do I manage some of the wages chart. So when we talk about equity, we can see here, I have different job positions, no matter if it's in Spanish or whatever, but I have here these different job positions, and these different job positions have scored the same points. Yeah, they might have different know-how, different problem solving, different accountability, but the score is the same. So right here, I can show some of the equity concept that I'm trying to tell you. And for competitiveness, I'll go out, see and measure, benchmark the market, and with the benchmark of the market that we can buy these statistics. In the benchmark of the market might tell me that the least that I can pay for this position is 4,180, and the most that I can pay for this position, in this case, all right, is 4,700. Sorry, this is the average. So the least that I can pay is 3,900, and the most that I can pay is 4,700. And then I get an average. These bands will help me to determine the performance of the job occupant. So if I get to do the list of the job description, this is my pay. If I go the extra mile, this can be my pay right here. And also I have different ways to put this in quartiles. So depending the time of the year, I might be using these right here. And these are also related to bonuses or commissions when we talk about the whole wage. Right here is an example. I can determine a scale. So in level 1, you know, 495 pounds, sorry, in level 1, the minimum wage can be 495 in the first quartile, 660, and it goes on and on. The amount that I'm gonna be paying right here depends on the individual performance. The minimum one set it over here means that the job holder or the worker has done the minimum of effort to get to that wage. So job evaluation will help us to get the concept of equity. We'll see the competitiveness in the market. We also get to measure the individual performance. And the sum of the individual performance will give us the team performance. And as a result, this is the whole organization of Color Republic. There are 4 interval factors for salary administrations, and these are the 4 ones: equity, competitiveness, individual performance, and team performance. The effects, what are some of the effects when we practice a partially administered job evaluation? We don't have competitiveness or fairness. The feeling of competitiveness or fairness is lost. There is discomfort in salaries or potential loss of resources. The positions in each company represent according to their mission, vision, and objectives, and and weighed differently. The market, if I get done a partially administered job evaluation, is the market the one that is going to be directing my salary to the company without considering the individual performance. The one who contributes the most or the best is compensated equally to the one with the lowest contribution without considering business results or individual performance. And I also can be overpaying or underpaying versus profitability in the company. Let's go ahead and finish up with quiz number 8 about the concept that we have covered right now. We have pretty much 10 or 5 more minutes. Go ahead. Okay, we're back. I have all the answers right now. I'm gonna share it with you. Okay, so for my last poll, what are the quality controls element in evaluation? Good, all of you, all of the above. And what are the effects of conducting a partial evaluation process is not only overpaying or underpaying versus profitability, pretty much all of the above. Yeah, we got it right. All of you, most of you in this one. And that's it. We cover it all. Let's talk about it. If you guys have questions, comments, let me know so I can go ahead and give you the control of the microphone, or let's share your ideas. Otherwise, thank you all for the time that's being invested to this workshop. I understand that it's a lot of information. I understand that you have put it the effort to understand me. Also, I apologize for any mispronunciation or any grammar error in the presentation. I think that Roberto had to leave earlier. We are recording this workshop, so in that way, if you guys missed or want to repeat some of the concepts, I'm gonna be giving Luisa or Viviana the link or the original video, so you can guys ask for it. All right, let me see. I think I got a question here in the chat. Will we be evaluating our own position? No. Your supervisor is going to evaluate your position. You might get together with your supervisor and analyze the criteria of the job of your position. You can review what was the score, but as an exercise, you can go ahead and evaluate your position. But usually the supervisor is the one who evaluates your position. Why? Because you are a resource for the process that your supervisor is an owner. Okay. Other than that, if you don't have questions, I will want to thank you for the time spent this morning, already afternoon. Thank you all for the opportunity. Take care, and we will be seeing you in this process. Thanks a lot again. And that's it. We cover it all. Let's talk about it. If you guys have questions, comments, let me know so I can go ahead and give you the control of the microphone, or let's share your ideas. Otherwise, thank you all for the time that's being invested to this workshop. I understand that it's a lot of information. I understand that you have put it the effort to understand me. Also, I apologize for any mispronunciation or any grammar error in the presentation. I think that Roberto had to leave earlier. We are recording this workshop, so in that way, if you guys missed or want to repeat some of the concepts, I'm gonna be giving Luisa or Viviana the link or the original video, so you can guys ask for it. All right, let me see. I think I got a question here in the chat. Will we be evaluating our own position? No. Your supervisor is going to evaluate your position. You might get together with your supervisor and analyze the criteria of the job of your position. you can review what was the score, but as an exercise, you can go ahead and evaluate your position. But usually the supervisor is the one who evaluates your position. Why? Because you are a resource for the process that your supervisor is an owner. Okay. Other than that, if you don't have questions, I will want to thank you for the time spent this morning, already afternoon. Thank you all for the opportunity. Take care, and we will be seeing you in this process. Thanks a lot again.